According to the findings of a recent study conducted by the Pew Research Center, an overwhelming majority of American citizens continue to have an optimistic outlook on the nation's position in relation to the rest of the globe. Which begs the question, is the US the best country in the world?
What makes America the greatest country in the world? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
The United States of America is still the greatest country in the world.
Okay, you believe they're better than the United States?
Not better, but I think...
Right, the United States is the best overall.
We will find out soon in today's video, but first make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get notified with our latest uploads. Let's dive right in. The United States is seen as one of the greatest countries, along with some others, by 85% of the general people, who have either the view that it stands above all other countries in the world, 29%, or that it is one of the greatest countries along with some others, 56%. Only 14% of people living in the United States believe that there are nations that are better than the US. In recent years, this viewpoint has not much evolved. The study, which was conducted between June 8th and 18th, found that Republicans, as they have been in the past, are more likely than Democrats to agree that the United States stands above all other nations. When compared to Democrats and Democrats who learn Republican, around 4 in 10 Republicans and Independents who learn Republican, 41%, believe the United States is in a better position than other countries. This is almost an exact replica of the party divide that exists on the issue in the autumn of 2015. However, the majority of Republicans and Democrats agree that the United States is among the greatest nations. They do not believe that the United States stands above other countries, or that other countries are more advanced. Similar results were found in a study conducted in 2015, with 60% of Democrats and 52% of Republicans stating that they believe the United States to be one of the best countries in the world. Even while it is rare for members of either party to have the opinion that there are other countries that are superior to the United States, Democrats and those who learn Democratic are nevertheless far more likely than Republicans and those who learn Republican to hold this view, 20% versus 7%. Even with regards to these viewpoints, not much has changed since 2015, 18% versus 10% respectively. When it comes to their perspective on the nation's place in the world, both parties are ideologically divided, in contrast to the views held by moderate and liberal Republicans, 30%. Over half of conservative Republicans, 47%, believe that the United States of America is superior to all other nations. Only 13% of Democrats who identify as liberals believe that the United States is in a position to lead other nations, in contrast to 23% of Democrats who identify as moderate or conservative. And although just 13% of moderate and conservative Democrats believe that there are other nations that are better than the United States, over a third of liberal Democrats believe that there are other countries that are better than the United States. As has been the case in previous surveys conducted by the Pew Research Center, older Americans are more likely than younger Americans to view the United States of America as one of the greatest nations in the world. Furthermore, there is a particular large age gap in perceptions of the United States of America as being exceptional. The highest percentage of those who believe the United States excels above all other nations are adults aged 65 and older, 44%. In comparison, only 12% of those under the age of 30 have the same opinion. This is the lowest percentage among all age groups. There is not much of a gap in how people of different races and ethnicities feel about the nation's place in the world. Approximately a third of people who identify as white, 30%, and black, 31%, as well as about a quarter of the people who identify as Hispanic, 26%, consider the United States to be superior to all other countries. The majority view across each of these categories is that the US is a fantastic country on par with some other countries. The United States is seen as a top-tier nation by about equal numbers of people from all educational backgrounds. Those with greater levels of education, on the other hand, are somewhat less likely to think that the United States is the best nation in the world. Instead, they are more likely to state that the United States is one of the greatest nations in the world, along with a few others. Only 20% of individuals with postgraduate degrees believe that the United States is superior to all other countries, while 64% believe it is one of a few of outstanding nations. In comparison, 1/3, 33%, of American adults who have not completed high school or more believe that the United States is the best country in the world. while another 52% believe that it is among the greatest nations in the world. According to a research published by US News, the United States is ranked as the nation with the most agility, which measures a nation's ability to be flexible, dynamic, contemporary, progressive, and sensitive to change. This is a brand new category that ranks countries based on their reaction to the COVID-19 epidemic, economic downturns, and social justice issues. The United States of America came in third place in both the categories of cultural influence and entrepreneurship. Countries that are major hubs for the arts, entertainment, and fashion are the topic of discussion in the category under cultural influence. On this list, Italy and France came out ahead of the United States. In the area of entrepreneurship, which evaluates a nation's capacity for invention and ability to disseminate prosperity, Japan and Germany came out ahead of the United States. The United States of America is once again placed first in the power category, while China has dropped to the number 2 slot. This year, China moved up to the second rank, surpassing Russia, which now sits in the third position. A significant portion of the international public's perception of the United States may be attributed to the government that President Donald Trump's father served in. A study conducted in September by the Independent Pew Research Center in 13 different countries found that just approximately 1/3 of respondents interviewed indicating that they have a positive view of the United States. And the study found that only 1 in 6 respondents have faith in the president who is no longer in office. According to Richard Wyke, Director of Global Attitudes Research at the Pew Research Center, what we saw during Trump's presidency is that he got overwhelmingly negative ratings around much of the world, and that had a real impact on what people think of the United States as a whole. People basically didn't like the fact that he was pulling the US out of international commitments and putting up barriers between the US and the rest of the world in different ways. Wyke notes that the respondents to that study did, on the other hand, voice some reservations over the state of democracy in the United States. According to the findings of yet another Pew study that was published on March 31st, around 2/3 of citizens in the United States feel that their political system either needed significant reform or requires full overhaul. According to the research, worries over the level of political corruption in the country were also especially widespread. Citation needed. One thing that all of the nations who finished last in the rankings of the best countries in 2021 have in common is their high level of corruption. A significant number of the nations that were ranked worst overall also received low marks for the not corrupt criterion. This includes Iraq, which not only rated worst overall, but also came in last place for that particular characteristics ranking. The total score of a country were often low if it had a low score on one of its metrics, and political stability was one of those metrics. So what do you think of today's video? Let us know in the comments down below, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel so you can become one of our members and receive all of our latest videos.